as much as I don't really like fear-mongering, per se, there's a lot of doom and gloom in the world that you shouldn't really be that bent out of shape about, sleepless nights, sweaty pillows in the morning. But there are certain things that do concern me and I think need to be addressed. And rampant technology, acting bonkers, is one of those things. That's one of my main concerns in life. I tell you that. The fact is, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. I could make a 3D printer printout of a life-size version of R. Kelly, okay, and I could use it to scare my girlfriend when she comes out of the shower. I could do that. I want to do that. But it doesn't mean that I should do that just because I could. And there's a very silly analogy I've just made for something that's quite serious. The Korean TV show uses virtual reality to reunite sorrow-stricken mother with her 7-year-old daughter who died in 2016. I would say those wounds are still quite fresh, wouldn't you? This looks like the kind of TV show that would have been on Channel 4 during the period which I like to refer to as the desperate to be edgy period, when they had live autopsies and what was that other thing they had that was really quite misguided? Detox Live or Rehab Live. They had people coming off heroin on live feed. It's just sort your life out, mate. Yeah, this is correct. You're reading this correct. And it's going on. It's kind of the thing you would expect from Japan more than Korea, isn't it? When you think of bonkers TV shows, Korea doesn't come up there, does it? It's always Japan, isn't it? You go, oh, good God, what is that? Korean TV show recounted a story of a family who lost their daughter in 2016. The mother put on a VR headset and was transported to a garden. She was met there by her dead daughter, who she could touch and talk to. Now, I want to make 2 points here. A few years ago on my comedy podcast, we did a sketch about Surprise, Surprise, a Surprise, Surprise parody, where someone wants to see their dead dad again. And a weird reanimated robot dad comes out, and it's all very disturbing and messed up, because it is. And the other point is, I lost my father fairly recently, and it's like, this when I first saw this, I was a bit teary. I was like, oh my God. He's like, would you do it? Would you do it? Possibly not if you see how good the CG is. This is probably a whole George Lucas needs to wait for the technology to get better before I make the sequel situation. Virtual reality is resurrecting the dead to help the living cope with their grief. Is this how you cope with grief? I don't know if this is the best way. I think we've been coping with grief since the dawn of time, since we were sentient beings. People have died and we've had to cope with it, A Korean television show used the technology to reunite a mother with her deceased 7-year-old daughter, complete with touch-sensitive gloves and audio. The show, called Meeting You, sounds all very nice, doesn't it? Recounted the story of a family's loss of their 17-year-old daughter, Nayeon, who passed away from an unnamed disease in 2016. The two were able to touch and play and hold conversations. Now, the two were one was able to hold a... But are you holding a conversation, really? And the little girl even reassured her mother that she was no longer in pain. Which is... it's not real, though. That's the problem, isn't it? You say, oh, I saw my dead daughter again. Did you? Yeah, I touched her. We played, had a little chat. And she said she's no longer in pain, so everything's fine. It's like, well, no, she didn't, did she? You see why I've got a problem with this? However, while the mother appeared to find the experience beneficial, experts have warned about the ethics of carrying out a radical psychological experiment on TV for the purpose of entertainment. Well, thank God someone did, isn't it? Do you know? We warned. Oh, we had to warn them about the ethics of all this. Where was the ethics before they even did this? You know, the whole joke about TV shows going a bit too far with what they do. You know, it's always been a meme about, has entertainment gone too far? Have they taken it too far? It's like, yeah, this is going too far, isn't it? Right? This is the kind of thing they warned about in Black Mirror. You know, when Black Mirror was good. Not now, but, you know, in the early days when they had that woman and she got like a robot version of her dead husband. It was very disturbing. This is very disturbing. This is disturbing. When do you go into the meeting with your TV executive? So I've got a great idea for a show. You know about the advances in VR, virtual reality technology? Yeah, I've heard a bit about that. You can stand in the streets and think you're on a roller coaster. Yeah, well, we've got one better than that. We're going to bring back people's dead kids. Are you? I don't know about that. That's probably the conversation that should have happened. Instead of going, brilliant, let's do that. I'm sure we'll have plenty of willing participants, which you will. Because, you know, grieving people, you know, generally vulnerable. Zhang Ji-sun, Neon's mother, put on the Vive virtual reality headset and was transported into a garden where her daughter stood there smiling in a bright purple dress. The more I'm reading this, the more I feel grubby for reading this right now. I can't there's certain things that you just can't explain why it's wrong. It just is. It's called your gut and your subconscious, and it goes, there's something really not right about this. And you should just trust those instincts. You don't need to, you know, you don't need to write prose about it. You're not writing a book. Unless you are writing a book, then you might want to think of words to describe it. You know, it's like music can evoke emotions that you cannot describe. This is one of those situations where I'm like, this is just, there's so many things making me go, ugh. This is just, ugh. This whole thing's like, ugh. Oh, my pretty, I have missed you, the mother can be heard saying as she strokes the digital replica of her daughter. The Korean company Munhwa Broadcasting Corporation, or MBC, just call it MBC, it's easier, worked on designing Neon's, I'm sorry if I'm saying her wrong, saying her name wrong, but does it matter at this point? All disrespect has been committed. Body and voice to be recreated to be accurate as possible, Aju Business Daily reported. The little girl with bright eyes and jet black hair asked her mother where she had been and if she thought about her. Jangra then responded, I do all the time. You know, and this is also a very emotionally manipulative. I mean, this show, there's not many TV shows like this that can evoke quite strong emotional reactions, and therefore this is very strong. This is very strong and compelling television, but it's fucking manipulative. I mean, God, that makes me want to cry, for goodness sake. And I'm a hardcore fucked out motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? But then look, it's hard not to make jokes because it's like, look at her. I mean, this isn't your daughter. And you're thinking, you know, yeah, but obviously technology is going to get better and better and better. I've seen deep fakes on YouTube that look better than that. And now this all sounds, it sounds like I'm being real disrespectful to this situation. It's like, but yeah, yo, I'm not the disrespect. I'm not doing anything wrong. I didn't make this. But why do I feel wrong? Do you know what I mean? This is messing with my mind. As the daughter said, I missed Mum a lot. Zhang replied, I missed you too. Zhang was hesitant at first to touch the digital child until Neon insisted she hold her hand. And you got to think about the mentality of the person who sort of created this scenario, because obviously they're going, you know, And then you say, touch my hand. It's like, oh, yeah, we should do that. Yeah, get her to touch her hand. That'll be really good television. Jang held her daughter's hand, with tears streaming down her face. Nayeon's father, brother and sister, who were all watching the event from the audience, were also crying. Oh, you think? Well, what a surprise. But it's still not very convincing, though, as well. That's another issue. It's like, but do I want it to be convincing? No, I don't want it to be convincing. I want it to look like this. So you can just put a stop to this. At one time, the little girl runs up to her mother and hands her a flower, saying, Mummy, you can see that I'm not hurting anymore, right? Oh my, this is tough. At the end of this magical journey, this is in the Mail Online, and they call it Magical Journey. Where's their moral wagging finger of outrage? Where's it gone? There's one thing you could rely on the Mail, is to have this wagging finger of moral outrage. Nayeon lay down to sleep, saying she was tired, and her mother said goodbye. Oh my god. Jang, who wears a necklace from Nayeon's ashes in The Charm, said she did the documentary to help other people who have lost a brother, parent, or child as she had. 3 years later, I now think I should love her more than miss her and feel sick so that I can be confident when I meet her later. I hope many people will remember Nayeon after watching the show, Jang wrote on her blog. However, Dr. Blay Whitby, philosopher and technology ethicist at the University of Sussex, told Mail Online that the television show raised some worrying ethical issues. You think? Again. Really? We just don't know the psychological effects of being reunited with someone in this way, Dr. Whitby said. A lot of psychiatrists would regard that as potentially unhealthy. The problem is that in the pursuit of profit or worse, people will be exploited. Dr. Sarah Jones, Deputy Dean of Computing, Engineering and Media at the Montfort University, Leicester, added the experiment raises other ethical concerns. There's more. Just because it is possible to use technology to virtually bring people back to life to meet with those grieving, it doesn't mean that we should. Thank you, that's the point. By the way, I didn't read that before I said my statement at the beginning of the video. We're just two like-minded people. One of the main concerns is the right of the deceased. Would they want to be digitally brought back to life? Who controls the words that they say? Could this be manipulated to force conversations that they wouldn't have agreed to? I mean, people have already made a point about, bringing Peter Cushing back from the dead for that Star Wars film. Like, did he want to? And who gets paid for that? Do you know what I mean? It's like, did he want to be brought back from the dead, saying lines? Get him to say anything. Stand out there and go, that's right, we should burn all gays as witches. He could have said that. And it'd be like, well, that's not something Peter Cushing was into. The further concern is how long do you keep that relationship alive? Is it a one-time opportunity to enable closure, or do you then prolong that relationship? Exactly. Don't open the door. Don't open the door. Okay? There's certain doors you don't want to open because you can't close them again. All right? It's like certain people who may be a bit weak-minded shouldn't do psychedelic drugs because it opens a door that they don't understand. They're like, do you know what I'm saying? Some people shouldn't try crack because it's very fucking Moorish and it's going to destroy their lives. There's many doors you just don't open it. Do you know what? Just suspend your curiosity and walk away, okay? Just because you're curious doesn't mean you have to find out what's going on. We don't need to know everything, okay? All right? You know what I mean? I've always wondered what it looks like inside the stomach of a shark. I'm curious, whilst it's still going on. I don't need to get inside the shark, right? I just suspend my curiosity and think about something else. There is no doubt that this could help grieving to provide closure in a one-time... sorry, I read that bit. Wendy Grossman, the founder of The Skeptic and a writer of On... I think that's a huge grammatical error there. A writer on computers, freedom and privacy, also weighed in about the ethics of using VR to reunite the dead with the living. The story strikes me as a very high-tech spiritualism with all the potential for fraud and deception that used to be associated with fraudulent mediums, she told Mail Online. Oh my God. See, it gets even worse. The more, like, I had just a couple of quibbles about it, but people have thought way deeper about this. You know, I just looked at it and went, going, no, don't like it. But people have actually spent some time to go, oh, there is this. Oh, God, there's that. You know, I don't want to think about it for that long. So I'm glad other people have done the work for me so I can go, yeah, okay, done. Out. No more. I have heard enough. A key question for me is who controls the daughter's avatar. Someone has to provide it with the things to say and movements to make, and the potential there for emotional manipulation is horrifying, given that the loss of a child is the most terrible bereavement of all time. I'm just surprised that someone hasn't done a horror film using these ideas. I mean, there was that cheesy film called Brain Scan back in the 90s with Edward Furlong, about virtual reality, how he gets turned into a serial killer. I mean, this is a way more horrific idea. Right? Why didn't the writer of that think of this? You know? I mean, Lawnmower Man, he becomes a godlike sort of being. That was a warning. These are fucking decades ago, bro. They were like, virtual reality could be potentially crazy. And they just ignored it. What's the point in writing dystopian fiction if everyone just ignores it? You know what I mean? That bothers me too. Jeez. As I said, the jury's verdict is in. It's a no. It's a no from me. Okay? Nil point.